Good day to you. Welcome to Putnam Talk Radio. I'm John Marino, and we are made possible by our good friends over at Robeson Oil. Robeson Oil, the house that service built. Lipolis Electric, don't be left in the dark. Get Lipolis. Michael Labriola, landscape design and construction, and by White Plains Hospital in Westchester County as well. We are produced by Sharc Creative. This is the Cup of Joe political show. I'm John Marino, and we are joined by Nancy Montgomery. Nancy Montgomery, Putnam County legislator, the first legislative district which covers the Hudson River area of Putnam County, and that encompasses the town of Phillipstown, Garrison, Cold Spring, Continental Village, North Highlands, and Nelsonville. Nelsonville is that bucolic stretch of Route 301 that you drive through if you are coming off the Taconic and heading west towards the Hudson River and over, let's say, towards Haldane High School, where I've been known to make an occasional public address appearance for the Blue Devils. Matter of fact, our Putnam Talk Radio logo color is very close to the Blue Devils color over at Haldane High School, too. Nancy Montgomery is in her first term in office on the Putnam County Board after a decade on the Phillipstown Town Board. 15 months into the COVID pandemic, Nancy, how would you describe the county's overall response to date?
To date, mixed. I have a mixed review of the county response to the COVID pandemic.
That's an interesting response. Why mixed?
Yeah, because, the rollout of the vaccine response and, you can see from the statistics in municipalities and zip codes that my district, Phillipstown, and actually a small portion of Putnam Valley I represent as well, is doing very well as far as, getting vaccinated. The community really came together. The county's support in opening a vaccine pod here in Phillipstown, partnering with the town, the recreation department, and we had the wonderful small business Drug World of Cold Spring provide vaccines as well for the entire community. So we're well ahead of the game with the vaccine rollout and getting our citizens vaccinated. As far as, the beginning of COVID on, my reviews of the county response is very poor. From bringing information to the residents of Putnam to providing guidance for even the department heads as far as sick leave for, COVID absences, to working together and allowing, all of the legislators to work with the administration to get that information. It was rocky, to say the least. And I'm glad that's behind us. And I'm glad that we're into vaccinating our population now. And I think we've done a fantastic job at that.
Yet for those who don't want to be vaccinated for whatever their reason might be, how do we reach them to get them vaccinated, to make them understand it's not just about you, it's about everybody around you?
Interesting. You can't make everybody get vaccinated, but you can try. Just try and to just send the word out. We just held a press conference with our Congressman Maloney, who's District 18, and the press conference was related to vaccine hesitancy and, what can we do to get those who are hesitant? And it's just information sharing. Personally, I work in local businesses and I go into the restaurants locally and make sure that our immigrant population has access to the vaccine, knows the details, providing, letters to the school and getting them to reach their hard to reach communities, hard to reach populations who are afraid to. Let's face it, you have to provide some documentation. There are some citizens who are afraid to do that. And then there's just the overall fear and conspiracy theory that, it's not good, it's bad for you. And we have to cure that with information, facts, and science. And we have to get that out there.
You referenced, of course, Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney, who represents northern Westchester, Putnam, and a piece of Dutchess County, too. Governor Andrew Cuomo a few days ago announced that Pandemic restrictions statewide won't be lifted by him until we hit at least 70% of New York State residents being vaccinated. Does that number 70% work for you? Is it too high, too low? Is it about right?
I think it's about right. I think people are going to use their best judgment, and that's all we can hope for as far as, government restrictions on what remains closed and what has to be restricted. I tend to err on caution because of what we went through. I lost some great friends. We don't know, what's going to happen when we open up completely. And I just, I'm so hyper locally focused. I know in my community that those folks who own businesses are doing everything they can. And it's up to them. It's within their purview. Do they want to make people wear masks? That's their call. They do get pushback from their customers, feeling like they're violating their rights by making them wear masks. And you don't have to go into that business if you don't want to wear a mask. We worked really hard as a community to open up carefully. And, I think partnerships with the local government and the businesses and our local citizens to make sure it was done right. And I think we're doing it right.
Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't go any faster or slower with reopening than just keep the current pace?
I would not go any faster or slower. Again, I work in the hospitality industry to help out local businesses, especially during tourist season, and we need to be open. We need to employ our residents. Our kids are coming home from school, from college. They need jobs, and it's really important.
Here on Putnam Talk Radio, I'm John Marino, and we are joined by Nancy Montgomery, 1st District Legislator, covering most of the Hudson River area and a little bit inward, too, in Putnam County. Nancy Montgomery, has Putnam benefited greatly, maybe somewhat, or not at all, or close to not at all, from the trickle-down effect of federal stimulus money that came to New York State in different forms a number of times here now throughout this pandemic?
Well, first, I like to say I'm a proud Blue Devil myself.
Are you a graduate of Haldane High School?
I'm a graduate of Haldane and co-captain of the volleyball team in 1986.
What year?
1986.
86. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. Had you been playing today, I might have announced some of your games.
That would have been great.
Would have been fun.
So are we getting enough is the question.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I don't think we've seen a check yet. I don't think we've seen, the $19.07 million promised in that stimulus package.
So what does it take to get that check?
Is that
it's one thing to promise. It's another thing I know to get it.
I think it takes partnerships with your federal and state leaders. And I think we have a great relationship with our federal and state leaders. And I think on every level across the aisle, we work so hard together. And I think it requires, constant communication, which I'm in constant communication with Assemblywoman Galef, with even Senator Pete Harcum, who's not representing my district.
But he's close by, Pete Harcum, right?
Yeah, and he's Assemblywoman Galef, Congressman Maloney, and certainly Senator Chuck Schumer has had his staff come and visit my district to talk about how that stimulus money is going to be given to us. So I don't believe we've seen a check yet. If our county government has, I'm not aware of that money coming in yet.
It's in the mail.
It's in the mail.
Right?
I hope so. And I hope there's, I hope it trickles down because again, like I said, my focus is hyper local and I want to see that money directed to my district. And I think it should be spread across the board fairly in every district. Listen, I think county government, I believe the purpose of county government is to support our local municipalities. And, we've gotten away from that. And I think we need to do whatever we can to work with our town supervisors and our local mayors to make sure that they have the resources that they need. They weren't getting as much in the stimulus package, say, as the 19.07. I think Phillipstown is slated to get 1.06 million, and Putnam Valley is slated to get 1.26 million. So, I'd like to make sure that the process is as transparent as possible, and we know exactly where that money's going. I just got off the phone with the town supervisor, Richard Shea, in Phillipstown, and between the sales tax revenue and the money handed down by the federal government, sometimes we don't always know where it goes. And it's really important that we as local officials are relaying that information transparently to the people we represent.
Nancy Montgomery, 1st District Legislator here in Putnam County. Nancy, of course, now you referenced Sandy Galeff, State Assemblywoman, Northern Westchester into Putnam. Sandy, an old friend for a long time, and also to State Senator Pete Harcum, reps the 37th District, Northern Westchester, and parts of Putnam and Dutchess counties. With that in mind, you talk about the money and where it goes. Where would this money go if and when that check arrives?
Well, it's very clear. I mean, it's the use is, it's very clear of what the money can be used for. To make, local funding was the federal government's top priority in this stimulus package. And I think, relief to Putnam County, they're going to the money's going to go to local response to the COVID-19 emergency. It's supposed to go, and it's very clear as the federal government lays it out. It's supposed to go to household assistance, small businesses, not-for-profits, aid to those impacted industries, such as hospitality. The hospitality industry was hit really hard. It really is our only business in my district, and we need to use that stimulus money to get back on our feet. Funds are to be used to support essential workers performing essential duties during and after COVID. The senator promised it's supposed to be used for these essential workers by providing them premium pay. And that's something that I really advocate for as a legislator. It's not something you always see in the news. I'm an advocate for the government employees, for the people that work for the county. I see a great disparity between the high-paid executives and those people who actually have their boots on the ground doing the work, and they need that premium pay. And it's also, the money's also supposed to go to grants for employers that have eligible workers who perform the essential work. So, and I believe much needed investment needs to go into, and it's supposed to, as laid out in the stimulus package, into infrastructure projects, like, although they say it's not meant for infrastructure, but certainly for water investments and water quality and sewer. So that's stuff that's needed across the board in Putnam County, in every district. Let's face it, the village of Nelsonville, this tiny village, with houses so close together, they're still on a well system. They're still on a septic system. It's not working for them. We need federal money to help support that community, to make sure that their water is protected and that sewer isn't just going everywhere, wrecking our environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you bring up a good point about Nelsonville. You drive through on 301 and houses are tightly packed together like this. That's the first thing you recognize about Nelsonville. So you bring up an important point about infrastructure, and more, I think we understand that water systems and sewers, et cetera, are part of the overall infrastructure package and what we do and what we need. How about education? Is money earmarked for education too?
As far as the stimulus package,
yeah.
Obviously, education is not something that I oversee as part of county government, but the stimulus package will go to, I'm not sure exactly what programs, but different programs within the education system. Mm-hmm. And I don't know exactly what those programs are. But
there is money going to education in some way.
It's got to be.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Yeah,
I would think so. That's a big part of infrastructure, societal infrastructure overall, obviously. Should schools be open totally come September?
I think I think that has to be left up to really the local school districts. We leave it up to the local health department. I have complete faith in our local superintendents. Phil Benante from Haldane Central School, Dr. Albano, I think, from Garrison Central Schools. And early on in the pandemic, I was in close contact with Dr. Benante at Haldane, just trying to provide information to him because nobody knew what was happening. And should schools open up? I'm not equipped to answer that question. I won't answer that, but I really do have faith in our school leaders for them to make that determination, based on vaccine rates in the district, based on zip code and vaccine rates with children within the school district. I think if you look at the data and look at the science, then you determine whether or not schools should open. I think we're in really good shape in my district that people are very conscientious about keeping themselves safe from COVID as a courtesy to those around them too. They have the whole community in mind when considering, should everything open up? Should we all be back at school? So, I'm not going to be the one to determine whether or not schools should open, and I shouldn't be. It should really be up to the school board, the superintendents, in conjunction with the local health department.
Should bottom line be, as they say, pretty much every day nowadays, follow the science?
Follow the science. Get your data, get the information. It's all available. If you have a hard time getting it, that's one of the things that I really liked doing during this awful pandemic, was providing information, just to individuals in my district. And people were frightened. And that was the favorite part of my job, was to talk to those individuals and give them the information that they needed. That was how I, forged more relationships and solid relationships with county really, and state and federal leaders. I needed to get somebody help with their unemployment. I go to Sandy Galiff's office. Somebody had an immigration issue. I would go to Sean Patrick Maloney's office. The relationships that I have with, our partners really help our constituents one-on-one. And that's the best part of my job, when I can help someone individually to get, resolve a problem. I can't pay my rent. I can't pay my electric bill. Oh, wait, here's this renter's assistance program that's part of the stimulus package. Here's even lumped into that is, forgiveness or assistance with your electric bill. Providing those resources to my constituents, I feel really proud of, and I'm really glad for that.
Take a look at the current Putnam County budget. Was it structured the right way for 2021? And if not, 2022, what should that budget include that may not be in there now? What could be readjusted, reworked, maybe moved around? Like they say, move money around. What can be moved around?
Yeah, when the budget didn't work, when you're moving a lot of money around in between. And we have certainly moved a lot of money around and reorganized departments in between. So, no, the 2021 budget did not work. We took out money for critical public safety services that should not have been taken out. That needs to go back in. We need our dispatch center, fully staffed. We need our sheriff's department fully staffed. The criticism is always the overtime expenses. And, why do we see so much overtime? Well, it's because we're not fully staffed. It takes a long time to hire a deputy sheriff. We need those test results and the lists from the state that the state is lagging behind on, so that we can have, the list so that we can hire the people. Then they have to go through training. Then some sheriffs are out on leave. Some are deployed for active duty in the military. We have to keep those positions open, and they get filled with overtime. We're seeing more and more people enter Putnam County. So I think, with tourism, so the need for more public safety is obvious. I mean, I just, having worked in the hospitality business, my observation is we've seen triple the amount of people come to Putnam County. Not that that's a security issue, but we need to keep our people safe. And to do that, we need resources invested in public safety. And we have, quite honestly, not we, because I was against defunding anything related to public safety, but my colleagues in the administration clearly defunded the police. And it's ironic coming from the only Democrat on the legislature. So what we need to do for 2022 is we need to reinvest in those really important public safety programs. We need to invest more in mental health. In the 2021 budget, we did nothing to invest more in public health, in mental health, except raise the rent on the only public mental health facility we have in the county. That Cove Care is the resource service for mental health in Putnam County. They use the county building, and we need to support them more. And all of these, not-for-profit, other mental health resources that we have in the county, like the Phillipstown Behavioral Health Hub, like St. Christopher's at Graymore, the only real, resource we have in my district for rehabilitation.
More and more people, as you point out, are moving to Putnam County, especially in light of the pandemic, trying to get away from more urban areas to a more rural, countrified area. And Putnam, of course, a mix of suburban and rural. Think about this for a second. You talked about all the money being moved out of the budget, money taken out. Yet, is there waste in the current budget that maybe could have moved back around to refund some of the things you say have been defunded?
Sure. There's a lot of waste that could have been used for critical services in the county, critical services for the taxpayer. But instead, we gave ourselves raises. We gave the high-paid executives raises. We hired high-paid executives in the middle of a pandemic, instead of hiring, like I said before, boots on the ground, people who actually have the interaction in providing services for our residents. So
does Putnam County need to preserve more open space? Do we need to be more proactive about that?
I think we are proactive about it. I'm proud that we finally entered into an agreement with the Hudson Highlands Land Trust in letting them steward property in Putnam Valley as part of the Granite Mountain Preserve. That was, a long, drawn out, all we needed was an MOU from the county, and the Land Trust was happy to take care of this land that was within this preserve. So now it's become this wonderful preserve land where it's parkland. We set aside a couple of weeks in the fall for hunting. So it's just a wonderful new open space amenity for Putnam County. We have to preserve open space. We have to continue to advocate for open space because, like I said before, our only industry in Putnam County is tourism. And if we lose that open space, we lose that tourism. And let's face it, when we preserve open space, we protect our water, we protect our ecosystem. A lot of people think Putnam County or Phillipstown in my district is anti-development. And my answer to that is, again, what is the one thing that we do have to protect? Why do people move here? We are not a homestead community. We don't get any more for development. Development costs us. Every time somebody builds something in our town, it costs us money. So you really have to weigh out the benefit of what is this development going to bring to us? What is this business going to bring to us? Or what is it going to cost us? So when you look at the surrounding communities, like Fishkill, who opened up their community to every type of development, every big box, made all of our small businesses in the area run out of town. We don't have those great little hardware stores in Fishkill anymore. We have a jam-packed Route 9 with every big box you can imagine. And those residents faced a 50% tax increase a few years ago. So when you open your door to all that kind of development, what do? It's a burden on your taxpayer. It doesn't really look so great. I don't think a lot of people are going to Fishkill I go because I fish in Wappingers Creek, but and
Fishkill to Poughkeepsie, it's one big shopping mall.
I want that protected, So we have over 70 small businesses in Phillipstown, and that's a great thing. And they're tax-paying citizens. They contribute so much to our town through taxes, through volunteerism, through everything that they offer. So open space, despite, what you hear every election season is Putnam County, Phillipstown is anti-development. It's not so much that we're anti-development. The type of development we need is to build the infrastructure to make sure that the tourism that we see is not such a burden on the people that live here. That's the development we need. We need to build that infrastructure so that the tourism is not going to go away, despite the burden on the local residents. I know some people in town don't want to go to the village on the weekend. And that's not such a great thing when you live in this beautiful place and you stay away from those beautiful spaces because of the tourism. And there's nothing I can do to make it go away. It's here to stay, and we need to build the infrastructure to, make it comfortable for the residents and the tourists, building bathrooms, I'm working on a complete streets initiative, hopefully presenting it to the county. I'm bringing that to the Traffic Safety Board in Putnam County next week to present the idea of this New York State Complete Streets program, which would enable us to get grant money and help us develop our streets to make them accessible for, the more people that use them. Programs like that, like Climate Smart Communities, which I brought to the table a few years ago in the county when I first got elected. And, I just want to see that program take off. And unfortunately, the county is slow to adopt things like this and take it on and really do the work that's needed to, access these great programs that the state and federal government have to offer.
Nancy Montgomery, you recently saw your old friends over at the Phillipstown Town Board. You sat in on a meeting. What were the key issues discussed at that get-together?
That particular meeting, oh my gosh, John, I can't. I know the key issues that Phillipstown is faced with.
Anything you might be able to let us know about.
Finishing up that beautiful town hall that was a long time coming, and they did a great job in renovating the town hall and, just keeping that historic building as just this beautiful space at the center of our town. And I just really thank those on the town board and Supervisor Shea who saw that through. And there was a lot of hard work on their part. Now they're in the process of redoing their highway garage. And that's another great partnership with the federal government. Hopefully they'll see some federal dollars to redo that property, because that's something that's really critical to the town. It's a long time coming to make it energy efficient. They just need a new garage. Some other things, certainly, the COVID response and opening up the rec department for camp. And I know Amber Stickle, the director of the rec program, is working hard with the health department to stay, within the guidelines to reopen the recreation department, because that's a wonderful resource. It provides employment for our young folks in town. And, I can't wait to see those programs open up again.
Around Putnam County at every level of government. And I know that when we have events, catastrophes like a 9/11 or COVID pandemic, that politicians generally put their differences aside and work together for the common good in ways that maybe we should see a bit more often. And yet sometimes things veer back in the other direction. Around Putnam, do elected officials right now need to work better together, like the old title of the Rick Astley song right after when you were in high school. Remember that old Rick Astley song? Better Right. No, that was Forever Together, right? But Better Together is in my head. Same idea.
We're going to be singing that all day
better
now.
Together. Yeah. That was 1988. You graduated in 86.
Yeah, I think I started listening to rap music in 1988. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, Rick Astley was close to rap. He was British soul. He was. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The question: Do Putnam leaders
we need to work better together? Elected officials around Putnam.
We have a long way to go. We need to work. It's election season. Let's face it. And the slogan is, apparently better together. And, that's a wonderful thought. And it's something I've been trying to do for over a decade now. And, if you look at this health crisis, and if you could go back to my memos, they're all on record, my communications with the legislature, with the county executive, and please, can I come to this meeting that you're having with the supervisors and mayors to talk about the pandemic? I'm not a victim here, but let's face it, I was excluded from most of the discussions regarding the COVID response because for some reason the perception is that's not in my purview. I represent the people of District 1, and I should be part of every aspect of county government, and I should be included on every conversation. And I've asked, and I rehearse my ask every time. Maybe I'm not asking right. I'll write a nice memo. I'll say something publicly. So, the better together, let's face it, I've asked for over a year now to attend I think the name given to the opioid task force was the One War on Drugs task force that my opponent is chair of. I can't attend that. They don't want me at that meeting. Meanwhile, I successfully got the Phillipstown Town Board to create a position for a drug resource coordinator, which then grew into the Phillipstown Behavioral Health Hub because we felt we didn't have enough resources for mental health in Putnam County. So we created our own because, and now as being on the legislature, I should have access to any task force sponsored by the county. I feel like I should be going to any of those meetings as I wish, but they don't feel it's better together with me. So that's a problem. And, I will continue to pull back the curtain and to see, okay, better together is a great slogan, but let's put your money where your mouth is. And let's include the minority leader. When every year we establish committees for the county, and every year I present my resume and reasons why I feel like I should be appointed to certain committees. For example, the Protective Services Committee. I've got FEMA training behind me. I went down to Emmitsburg, Virginia, and trained in emergency response. I'm a former EMT and board member of the Ambulance Corps, the health department. I used to run and manage group homes for the developmentally disabled. I understand casework very clearly, and I bring great resources to these committees. But as you might be aware, I wasn't appointed to any of those committees because I asked questions. For example, last week we had before us the appointment of 3 new members to our Board of Health. Now, when we came to that committee meeting, I asked for the resumes for these 3 new board members. And actually, I didn't ask at the meeting because I wasn't allowed to speak at the meeting. So better together means allowing your representative to speak at meetings. But anyway, that committee moved those appointments forward without any resumes. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're appointing 3 members to the Board of Health, which is the board responsible for establishing policy for public health. And we're appointing members on a handshake. Before the full, we did get 2 of those 3 resumes an hour before the meeting. And, but still, I just would, I'm trying to be smart about this. Let's take a look at these resumes. I want an opportunity to call these individuals. And I'm on a number of boards. I mean, and clearly I know how it works when you're appointed to a board. They do background checks. They interview you. They want your resume. They don't want a handshake. So, and I think that's very important as we move forward in Putnam County, so that we have a government that really works for the people, that we have. I mean, these people that they're appointing may very well be qualified, and I'm sure they're wonderful people, but to go ahead and move those appointments forward without a resume is beyond me. So that's the kind of work I'm going to continue doing. I'm going to continue asking those questions. The climate smart communities issue came up last night during our economic development committee meeting. I want to see the minutes from the county executive's climate smart task force. They don't exist. Well, we can't become a climate smart task force without submitting those minutes of those meetings to the state. So we'll never receive that $11 million that's available to, create climate smart programs, because we're not following the guidelines for the program. And I know about these things. I know what it takes, and I'm just going to keep asking questions. I think I do it in a respectful way. I do get a little bit excited when I'm interrupted in a meeting and not allowed to speak. And there's
Don't
no
we all
continuity.
get excited then, right?
There's a reason. When I can't represent my people, when I feel like, I can't speak for the people who put me in office, I'm going to speak louder. That's all.
That's a good approach. Yeah. Nancy Montgomery, you are running for re-election for a second term, representing the 1st District of the county on the county board in Putnam. You've done a lot in your first term, yet the question must be asked: why should the people of the 1st District re-elect you?
Because I went in and I did a job that my constituents wanted me to do. There were, all I heard for 10 years on the town board was, county government and what's going on there. And we don't know what's happening there. They don't include us. And where is the money going? How come we can't share sales tax revenue? I'm there to ask those questions. They should elect me because I will continue to pull back the curtain and ask those difficult questions. And I'm there because I want to see things like the Climate Smart Communities program be successful. I want a human rights commission in Putnam County, and I want to continue to support the individuals that need the help in Putnam County in my district. And I'm really good at the one-on-one support. Again, back to tourism. We've invested a lot in Putnam County in our tourism department. And, they've made a lot of progress on this side of the county as far as promoting tourism and making people aware of what we have to offer over here. But we don't need people to be aware anymore. They're here. We don't need so much in promotion. We need help with bathrooms. We need help with garbage. We need help in managing the number of people that come into our town. So I would like to see the county help with that. And I'd like to see some money reinstated in the 2022 budget to do that. And also it goes back to all of those critical public safety programs that we need in Putnam County and in my district. So they should reelect me because I can pull back the curtain and show you that the money is being spent on raises. The money is being spent on Tilly Foster Farm and the golf course, and the money's not being spent where we need it, which is public safety, mental health, and support for our infrastructure to manage the tourism industry that we have.
Nancy Montgomery, best of luck in your re-election bid.
Thank you.
1st District, Putnam County, County Board. Hope we get to talk again throughout the campaign season, and all the best to you. Thank you for joining us here on Putnam Talk Radio today, and go Blue Devils.
Thanks, John. Go Blue Devils. I love them.
I'm going to give you a little piece of my own personal trivia. Out of all the sports I played through the years, from childhood to far into adulthood, I won a trophy only in one sport. Guess what that sport was? Volleyball.
Yes. Why don't you come and play when they reopen Phillipstown Rec Thursday night?
Maybe I will. That was a long time ago, but that was the one trophy that I won. So were you a server, a setter, or a spiker?
I was a digger.
You were a digger. Mm-hmm.
I had a coach in college. I actually played in college too. And
what college?
SUNY Purchase.
Oh, okay.
Not so much known for its sports, but
they have a pretty good sports program there at SUNY Purchase in West.
Yeah. But I had this wonderful Haitian coach who would just say, "Dig that ball, Nancy Montgomery." Mm-hmm, so, and I was a server and a spiker. Mm-hmm. Couldn't jump so high, but was able to get it from the ground.
Yeah, some of the best spikers I've seen couldn't jump that high, but they knew how to use their reach. They know how to use their reach. That's what it's about. It's like rebounding in basketball. You don't have to be the tallest guy on the court. You have to know how to use what you have with bodily positioning, and that's what those two facets are about, rebounding and also spiking too, I think. At least in my experience.
I hope we can get together at the Phillipstown Recreation Programs and they reopen. I was playing in their adult league up until a few years ago when things got busy and evening meetings, but it's something to get back to.
Yeah, it's good to get back athletically. I'm trying to do that, as a matter of fact. So
I'm really looking forward to the fall Blue Devils volleyball season. So you'll see me
always a very
there.
Good volleyball team, excellent football team. Coach Ryan McConville runs that program for a long time at Putnam's Haldane High School. And Haldane, of course, one of the best athletically around the area. Girls basketball, always a championship contender every year. Pretty good boys basketball team, the soccer teams, and more. So you got a real good athletics program going on there over at Haldane High, of which you were a part of through the years, and congratulations to you on that.
Thank you, and thanks for being a part of the Blue Devils, an important part.
Thank you, Nancy Montgomery. Always glad when I get the opportunity to make an appearance at Haldane High. Here we are on Putnam Talk Radio, and we are produced by Sharc Creative. I'm John Marino, and we are made possible by here in the Cup of Joe Political Show. Michael Labriola, Landscape Design and Construction. Robeson Oil, the house that Service built. Lipolis Electric, don't be left in the dark. Get Lipolis, and by White Plains Hospital in Westchester. Catch all of our Putnam Dutchess, Westchester, Rockland, Orange, and Fairfield County programming on our YouTube channel, Sharc Creative YouTube.